Your Royal Highnesses, honorable guests, dear friends, I stand before you today with gratitude in my heart, gratitude for the opportunity to speak about something of deep meaning, the gentle revolution that begins when love is placed at the very center of our lives. Love is often spoken of in grand gestures, in dramatic moments, but truly it is in the quiet acts of compassion, the unseen kindnesses, the willingness to listen and to serve that love begins its work. It does not demand to be loud, it asks only to be true, and when love is true, it changes the world quietly but profoundly. My sister Sofia and I have grown up witnessing this. We have seen how our family, our country, our communities thrive when we place empathy and solidarity before self-interest. We have learned that to stand for something as precious as hope and justice is not a burden, it is a privilege. In a world that changes so rapidly, in which the challenges we face sometimes feel overwhelming, we must remember that a gentle revolution, one of respect, of inclusion, of genuine human connection, is possible. It is led not by force but by conviction. It is guided not by fear but by the courage to believe in one another. To the young people listening, it is you who hold the promise of tomorrow. You do so not because you are young, but because you care. Your voices, your determination, your readiness to step forward for what is right, these are the seeds from which a new era may grow. And to all of us, duty is not simply an obligation, it is a call to serve something greater than ourselves. Let us imagine together a society in which every person is seen, every voice is heard, and every act of kindness is honored. Let us move forward, hand in hand, not with grandiose declarations alone, but with daily gestures of love and respect. Because the true revolution is not one of upheaval, it is one of transformation from within. I am humbled by the path ahead, and determined in the belief that together sisters, citizens, companions on this journey, we may build a future marked by peace, by dignity, and by the enduring power of love. Thank you for allowing me to share this vision with you. May we all be part of this gentle revolution. I stand here today with calm intention and sincere hope to reflect on something we all know but sometimes forget, the quiet power of love. It is not the kind of power that demands attention or forces its way into notice. Rather, it is the sort of power that grows in the softest corners of our lives, through an act of kindness, a hand extended, a word spoken when it mattered most. Love's gentle revolution begins there, in those subtle moments. When I think of love in this way, I am reminded that its strength lies not in grand proclamations or dramatic gestures, but in steadfast presence. A presence that says, I see you, I hear you, I stand with you. In observing the young people around me, in listening to their voices, I have been struck by how often change is carried quietly, by people who measure not how much they are seen, but how much they listen. They build bridges not by shouting, but by sharing. They give hope not by promising the impossible, but by showing what is possible. In that sense, love becomes the most profound form of revolution. It transforms the way we relate to one another, the way we govern our actions, the way we shape our communities. I have come to believe that when love is rooted in service, it endures. When love is about uplift rather than acclaim, it empowers. Because loving someone is not the same as needing someone. Loving someone means offering freedom, dignity, and respect. It means recognizing that each person carries within them a spark of possibility, and when we fan that spark rather than extinguish it, we begin to build something remarkable. Service rooted in love does not ask for gratitude or flourish in self-interest. It finds its reward in seeing another thrive. In this, we find true transformation. In my own journey, I have seen how responsibility and compassion must go hand in hand. Our generation often hears calls to change the world fast, to demand results at once. But what I have learned is that the most meaningful change often arrives patiently. It arrives when we allow ourselves to listen first, when we walk alongside others rather than ahead of them, and when we choose solidarity over spectacle. This is the nature of love's quiet power. It does not broadcast itself, it invites. It does not dominate, it nurtures. Imagine a place where care is the standard, not the exception, where the default question is not "what do I gain?" but "how can I serve?" Picture communities where the vulnerable are reached first, where the voices at the margins are not merely heard but amplified, and where the young feel not only seen but believed in. That vision is not out of reach. It is built step by step, gesture by gesture, kindness by kindness. These are small revolutions, but they are real, and if we are willing to act with humility and intention, they can shape our world. It is easy to think that love is passive, that kindness is weak, but I challenge that notion. To persist in showing kindness in a world that sometimes rewards indifference, that is courage. To offer respect when power would rather demand obedience, that is strength. To commit to serving when many would step back, that is leadership. In that way, love is not soft, love is steadfast, love is revolutionary. So let us ask ourselves, who around us needs to be seen today, whose story has gone unheard? What small act can we carry out, not for recognition, but because it is the right thing to do? What quiet conversation, what supportive presence, what consistent effort might matter more than we think, because in these very moments we give love the chance to grow. In closing, I hold dear the conviction that our future is shaped not only by laws and borders, but by the bonds we form and the values we live by. If we choose to live with empathy, conviction, and service, we begin to lead with love. And if our leadership is grounded in love, then we sow the seeds of a gentler, more inclusive world. Let us carry that promise together. I stand before you today with a deep sense of both joy and responsibility, for the bond we share as sisters is not only a source of personal comfort, but a guiding light for the path we walk together. To be a sister is first to know love that is given freely, without conditions, a love that is rooted in trust, presence, and mutual support. But it is also to understand that with this love comes a responsibility, not just to each other, but to something larger than ourselves. When we honor our bond, we honor the silent promise of commitment, of partnership, of shared hope. In the quiet moments, when we listen rather than speak, when we stand side by side rather than one ahead, the strength of sisterhood reveals itself. My sister and I have grown under the same sky, in the same home, sharing laughter, secrets, and dreams. And though our journeys may diverge, the promise remains. We will carry each other's hopes, we will steady each other's fears, and we will lift each other's burdens. This is not simply sentimental, it is the essence of what it means to share a responsibility, for together we reflect not only on what we are for each other, but what we can be for the community around us. There is a sense in which our relationship speaks to a broader truth, that no one walks alone. We are part of a tapestry of caring, of support, of human connection, and as sisters we have the unique privilege of turning inward strength into outward service. When I think of shared responsibility, I think of the commitment to act, not because someone expects it of us, but because we recognize that our actions ripple beyond us. To my sister, I am more than a sister, I am a companion in purpose. To myself, she is a mirror of the values I hold dear: integrity, compassion, perseverance. In the service we undertake, whether small or great, we carry the weight of our shared identity, our shared dreams. And that is why it matters that we walk together, for when we walk alone, we rely only on our own strength, but when we walk together, we draw upon the strength of our sisterhood, and that multiplies our ability to serve. It means making choices not only for ourselves, but in the light of our collective hope. It means acknowledging that our privilege brings with it a duty, not to display it, but to deploy it for the benefit of others. It means remembering that the bond between sisters is not just for comfort in closeness, but for courage in challenge. When I look at my sister, I see someone who will carry forward the values that our family holds: respect, responsibility, service, and I know that I am not alone in my commitment. And so I ask, what do we owe each other, and what do we owe the communities we represent? We owe each other faith, faith in the other's strength, in the other's worth, in the other's voice. We owe each other trust, trust that even when we fall short, we will be there to stand up again. And we owe each other action that arises from our shared values, that honors our common purpose. Shared responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. It is the privilege of knowing that our lives are connected, that our lives matter together, that our actions resonate beyond ourselves. When we attend to our responsibilities, whether in our own homes or beyond, we honor the relationships that sustain us. And when we do so as sisters bound by love, our impact is magnified, not because we are many, but because we are united. There will be moments when the demands feel heavy, when the expectations seem unending. But in those moments we must remember that we are not alone. We have each other, and in that we have strength, the strength to listen when it is easier to speak, the strength to step back when it is easier to step forward, the strength to hold on when it may be simpler to let go, because sisterhood is not always easy. It asks for patience, for forgiveness, for the humility to say, I was wrong, and the courage to say, I will try again. But in that humility and that courage lies something powerful, a bond that transforms not only our relationship, but our outlook on life. And so, dear sister, I promise to be present. I promise to remember that my actions reflect not only on me, but on us. I promise to serve our shared cause with a heart open to others, a mind clear about purpose, and a spirit steady in resolve. I will stand with you in hope, I will work alongside you in duty, and I will walk beside you in the journey ahead. To all who listen, when you think of sisterhood, whether of blood or of heart, may you remember that with love comes responsibility, a responsibility not to be perfect, but to be present, not to be above others, but to be with others. Not to serve only when it is celebrated, but to serve consistently, quietly, faithfully, for the world does not always need the loud proclamation. Often it needs the sustained gesture. It does not always require the grand act. Often it needs the enduring presence. Let us take up this shared responsibility, not as a weight to bear, but as a light to carry. Let us illuminate the path for one another, and through our relationship let us show others how together we can be stronger, kinder, more just. For in the bond of sisters, in the trust of companions, in the commitment of friends, we find a model of how humanity may stand, not divided, but united, not alone, but together, not fragmentary, but whole. May we go forth then, hand in hand, hearts aligned, purpose shared, and may our sisterhood be a blessing to us, and through us, to all those whose lives we touch. I stand before you with a heart full of hope and a firm belief in the possibilities that lie ahead when youth, duty, and forward momentum move together as one. To be young is to hold the energy of tomorrow in our hands, and to feel the responsibility of today in our hearts. I humbly accept that responsibility, and I embrace the momentum it offers. When I speak of youth, I do not mean merely an age or a stage of life. I mean that inner flame of curiosity, of courage, of willingness to learn and to act. We young people are often told that the world must wait for us to become ready, before we enter its spaces of influence, but the truth, that I feel deeply, is that our readiness is shaped not by time alone, but by intent and by action. There is no perfect moment to begin. There is only the moment in which we decide to stand up for our convictions, to lean into our responsibility, and to move forward. It is by doing that we become capable. Duty is more than a word. It is a commitment. It is the quiet promise we make to others and to ourselves, that our rights are joined to our obligations, our freedoms to our services. When duty is embraced, it does not diminish our individuality, it amplifies it. For in duty we find alignment with something larger than our own ambitions. We find purpose. In the work of service, of stewardship, of collaboration, we discover what it means to live well with others. Through duty we learn that our lives are connected to our families, our communities, our country, and that the future is shaped by how we treat all of them today, and then there is forward momentum, the movement that takes us from intention to reality, from dream to action. Momentum is not always bold or grand. Often it is the steady step, the persistent effort, the resilient spirit that refuses to give up. When youth and duty are paired with forward momentum, change becomes possible. It becomes tangible. Momentum carries us beyond hesitation, beyond fear, beyond the question of what if, into the realm of let us try, and then let us succeed. In my own experience, I have seen how young people throughout our country have risen to challenges not because they were told they must, but because they believed they could. In the months of difficulty that our society has faced, many of you have shown generosity, initiative, creativity. You have helped your neighbors, you have committed your time, you have spoken up for fairness and for opportunity. I have witnessed this, and I am inspired by it, because you remind me that youth is not a pause, it is a resource. It is a calling, and if we answer it, we fulfill a duty that is both personal and communal. To the young people gathered here, to all who are standing at the threshold of possibility, the world needs you. It needs your questions, your ideas, your energy, but it also needs your commitment. It needs you to say not only I want, but I will. It needs you to transform your hopes into habits, your beliefs into deeds, your dreams into plans. For the challenges we face, social, environmental, educational, do not wait for tomorrow. They are present now, and they require a forward-looking spirit that is grounded in responsibility. But I also speak to every one of us who holds a duty, whether by choice or by chance. Duty asks us to look beyond ourselves, to the vulnerable, to the marginalized, to the voices that struggle to be heard. It asks us to use our privileges, our talents, our positions, not merely for our gain, but for the advancement of others. When duty becomes our compass, we are guided by more than benefit. We are guided by meaning, and meaning demands action. Thus, with forward momentum we press on. Momentum, in truth, is the meeting point of youth and duty. It is the forward motion born from the understanding that to be young is not to wait, but to rise, and to have duty is not to be bound, but to be free, a serve to lead, to make difference. When we commit to moving forward, we testify that we will not stand idle while needs persist, while potential lies unused, while injustice remains unchallenged. We testify that we will be part of the solution. Let us imagine together what our forward momentum can achieve. It can open pathways for education where barriers stood. It can spark innovation where stagnation lingered. It can build bridges where division threatened. It can give voice where silence prevailed. It can bring compassion where indifference reigned. But none of this happens by chance. None of this happens without intention, without duty accepted, without youth awakened and engaged, without movement sustained. I feel deeply that our generation carries with it a dual gift, the gift of possibility and the gift of responsibility. We are the ones who will inherit the results of today's decisions, but we are also the ones who make them. In acknowledging this, we recognize our duty. In embracing our duty, we fuel our forward momentum. In sustaining our forward momentum, we honor our youth's promise. So, I invite all of us to walk forward together, not ahead of our communities, but beside them, not above anyone, but alongside all. Let our actions reflect that our youth is not a season to wait through, but a moment to act in. Let our duty not be a weight, but a wing. Let our momentum not be hurried rashness, but steady purpose. and let the world see in us a generation that moves not only because it can, but because it must, with courage, with respect, with kindness, and with resolve. May we carry this spirit into every school, every workplace, every home, every heart. May we shape a future where our youth is honored not for its age, but for its engagement, where duty is not burdensome but transformative, where forward momentum is the natural outcome of hope turned into action. And may we do all this knowing that the journey is shared, the goal is common, and the time is now,